The Arizona sun hung low on the horizon, painting the desert sky in shades of burnt orange and deep crimson. Route 89, a lonely stretch of asphalt cutting through the Sonoran desert, shimmered with heat waves even as evening approached. The air was thick and dry, carrying the scent of creosote bush and the distant howl of coyotes preparing for their nightly hunt. Rachel Thompson's bare feet slapped against the scorching pavement as she ran, her lungs burning with each desperate breath. Tears streamed down her dirt-smudged face, mixing with the sweat that soaked her pink t-shirt. The 9-year-old girl had been running for what felt like hours, though it had only been 15 minutes since she watched 3 men drag her mother, Amanda, into a black SUV outside their modest house on the outskirts of Copper Ridge, a small desert town with barely 300 residents. "Mom!" Rachel had screamed, her voice cracking with terror as she chased the vehicle down their unpaved driveway. But the SUV had disappeared in a cloud of dust, heading north toward the interstate. Rachel's neighbor, old Mr. Peterson, was deaf and hadn't heard her screams. Their nearest neighbor beyond him lived 2 miles away. There was no time to run back inside for the phone. Every second counted. So Rachel ran. She ran toward the main road, toward any sign of help, her heart hammering against her ribcage like a trapped bird. The desert stretched endlessly around her, dotted with saguaro cacti standing like silent sentinels, their arms raised to the dying light. A roadrunner darted across her path, startled by her sudden presence. The sound reached her first, a deep, rhythmic rumble that grew louder with each passing second. Then she saw them, emerging from the heat distortion like a mirage made real. 5 motorcycles, their chrome gleaming in the sunset, pulled off the highway toward the small gas station at the junction where Route 89 met County Road 12. Rachel's legs nearly gave out beneath her, but she pushed harder, her vision blurring with exhaustion and tears. The motorcycles came to a stop at the fuel pumps, their engines cutting off one by one. Leather-clad riders dismounted, stretching road-weary muscles and pulling off helmets. "Please!" Rachel's voice came out as a broken sob as she stumbled into the gas station parking lot. "Please, somebody help me!" James Wilson, known to his brothers as Ghost, was the first to turn. At 43, he carried himself with the quiet authority of a man who had seen combat and survived. His weathered face, framed by a salt and pepper beard, showed the lines of a life lived hard but honestly. The patches on his leather vest identified him as a member of the Desert Riders MC, a small, independent club that valued brotherhood and the open road above all else. Ghost's steel-gray eyes widened as the small girl collapsed at his feet, her hands clutching desperately at his boots. "Whoa, whoa, easy there, kid," he said, kneeling down quickly. His voice, rough from years of cigarettes and desert wind, softened with genuine concern. "What's wrong? Where are your parents?" "They took her." Rachel gasped between sobs, her whole body shaking. "3 men, they took my mom. Please, you have to help me find her, please." The other riders gathered around quickly. Danny Reeves, Ghost's right-hand man and closest friend for 15 years, crouched beside them. At 38, Danny was built like a linebacker, with arms covered in detailed tattoos depicting desert landscapes and military insignia. His dark eyes, usually quick with humor, were now sharp and focused. "Slow down, sweetheart," Danny said gently. "Take a breath. Tell us what happened." Victoria Hayes pushed through the circle of men, her red hair pulled back in a practical braid. At 35, she was the only woman in the Desert Riders, earning her place through her exceptional skills as a mechanic and her unwavering loyalty. She knelt beside Rachel, placing a calloused but gentle hand on the girl's shoulder. "Hey, honey, look at me," Victoria said firmly. Rachel's tear-filled brown eyes met hers. "We're going to help you, okay? But we need you to tell us everything. Can you do that?" Rachel nodded frantically, wiping her nose on her sleeve. "My mom, Amanda Thompson. We live on Desert View Road, about 3 miles back. 3 men came to our house. One was tall with a snake tattoo on his neck. They were yelling at my mum about something at the hospital where she works. She told me to hide in the closet, but I watched through the crack in the door. Yeah, what hospital? Ghost asked, his military training kicking in as he mentally catalogued details. Mercy General in Copper Ridge, Rachel said. She's a nurse. The men said she saw something she shouldn't have. They said if she didn't come with them, they'd hurt me. So she went, but she told them I wasn't home, that I was at a friend's house. As soon as they left with her, I ran out to get help. Ghost and Danny exchanged a look, a wordless communication born from years of riding together. The other two members of their group, Frank Martinez and Kyle Jackson, moved closer to hear better. Frank, at 51, was the oldest of the group, a former mechanic with a grey ponytail and kind eyes. Kyle, only 26, was the youngest, still proving himself to the club but fiercely loyal. Black SUV? Ghost asked. Rachel nodded vigorously. Did you see which direction they went? North, toward the interstate, Rachel said. But that was maybe 20 minutes ago. Please, we have to go now. They're going to hurt her. Ghost stood up, his jaw set in a hard line. He looked at his crew, seeing his own thoughts reflected in their faces. They were just 5 guys who loved their bikes and their freedom. They weren't heroes. They weren't cops. Getting involved in what sounded like serious criminal activity could bring a world of trouble down on them. But as Ghost looked down at Rachel's desperate, tear-stained face, he knew there was no other choice. Some lines you couldn't cross, some cries for help you couldn't ignore. Danny, call Kathy at the sheriff's office in Copper Ridge, Ghost said, his voice carrying the weight of command. Tell her what's going on. Frank, check the kid's feet, get her some water. Victoria, see if they have any shoes in the convenience store that might fit her. Kyle, top off the tanks and check the tire pressure. We might be riding hard. What are you gonna do, Ghost? Kyle asked, already moving toward the bikes. Ghost pulled out his phone, scrolling through his contacts. I'm calling someone who might know what's really going on at Mercy General. If this girl's mum stumbled into something serious, we need intel before we go charging in blind. Rachel grabbed Ghost's hand, her small fingers barely wrapping around his calloused palm. Thank you, she whispered, fresh tears spilling down her cheeks. Thank you so much. Ghost squeezed her hand gently. Don't thank me yet, kid. We've got a long road ahead. As the sun finally dipped below the horizon, plunging the desert into the deep purple of twilight, the Desert Riders MC made their choice. They would ride into the unknown, following the trail of a desperate mother and the men who took her. None of them knew where this road would lead, but they knew one thing for certain. They wouldn't let this little girl down. The desert night came alive with the sound of crickets and distant coyotes as Ghost stepped away to make his call. Victoria emerged from the convenience store with a pair of cheap flip-flops and a bottle of water. Frank was already cleaning Rachel's cut and bleeding feet with surprising gentleness for such a large man. Here you go, sweetie, Victoria said, helping Rachel into the sandals. Not perfect, but better than nothing. What's your name? Rachel asked quietly. Victoria. But you can call me Vic. That big guy cleaning your feet is Frank. The one on the phone over there, that's Kyle. The guy who looks like he could bench press a truck is Danny. And the one making calls is Ghost. He's our leader. Ghost? Rachel's eyebrows furrowed. That's a strange name. Victoria smiled sadly. He earned it in Afghanistan. Sometimes people who've been through war feel like ghosts when they come home. Like they're not fully here anymore. But Ghost, he's more here than most people. He just carries his past quietly. Rachel processed this information, her young mind trying to understand. My dad died when I was 4, a car accident. So it's just been me and Mom. She works so hard. She picks up extra shifts at the hospital to pay for my dance classes and to save for college. She doesn't deserve this. No, she doesn't, Victoria agreed. her voice thick with emotion. "And we're going to do everything we can to bring her home safe." Ghost returned, his expression grim. "I talked to Marcus Flores, a paramedic I served with who now works in the area. He says there have been rumors about Mercy General. Some of the staff suspected that the pharmacy was being used to funnel prescription opioids to dealers. Anyone who asked too many questions either quit or got fired under mysterious circumstances." "So Amanda saw something," Danny concluded, cracking his knuckles unconsciously, a habit he had when preparing for conflict. "Or she was in the wrong place at the wrong time," Ghost said. "Either way, she's in serious danger. I told Marcus to contact the DEA field office in Phoenix. They've been investigating drug trafficking in rural Arizona for months. This might be the break they need." "But that'll take time," Frank said, finishing with Rachel's feet and standing up with a groan. His knees weren't what they used to be. Time this lady might not have. Ghost looked at Rachel, then at his brothers. "The sheriff's office is sending a deputy to meet us here. They want to take Rachel somewhere safe and treat this as a kidnapping, but I talked to Kathy directly. She said the Copper Ridge Sheriff's Department is 3 deputies covering 200 square miles of desert. They're stretched thin, and if this is connected to organized drug trafficking, they're outgunned." "So, what's the play?" Kyle asked, his young face eager but anxious. "The deputy will be here in 15 minutes to get Rachel's statement and take her to protective services," Ghost said. "But I also got a tip. One of the bartenders at the Rusty Nail, that dive bar on the edge of town, is known for running information for various lowlifes. If those men are local or working with local dealers, someone at that bar might know something." "The Rusty Nail," Danny repeated, a dark smile crossing his face. "I know that place. Been there once. Nearly got in 3 fights in 1 hour. Classy joint. We'll split up," Ghost decided. "Frank, you stay here with Rachel until the deputy arrives, then head back to the clubhouse. Let Hank know what's going on. Danny, Kyle, and Vic, you're with me. We ride to the Rusty Nail and see what we can shake loose." Rachel stood up suddenly, her eyes fierce despite her exhaustion. "I want to come with you." "Absolutely not," Ghost said firmly, but not unkindly. "What we're about to do isn't safe. You've been incredibly brave, Rachel, but now you need to let the adults handle this." "But no buts," Victoria interjected, kneeling to be at eye level with the girl. "Listen to me, Rachel. The best thing you can do for your mom right now is stay safe. If those men find out you're with us, they might hurt your mom to punish her for talking. You need to be somewhere protected, somewhere they can't get to you. That's how you help her, understand?" Rachel's lower lip trembled, but she nodded reluctantly. "You promise you'll find her? You promise you won't stop looking?" Ghost crouched down, placing both hands on Rachel's small shoulders. "I promise you, we will do everything in our power to bring your mom home. I've got a daughter myself, about your age. Her name's Claire. If she were in your shoes, I'd want someone to help her. So yeah, kid, you have my word." The sound of approaching sirens cut through the desert night. Red and blue lights reflected off the gas station windows as a sheriff's cruiser pulled into the parking lot. A young deputy, probably not more than 25, stepped out with a notepad and a concerned expression. "You must be the group that called in," the deputy said, introducing himself as Deputy Andrew Walsh. "And this must be Rachel Thompson." "Hi, Rachel. I'm here to help. Can you tell me what happened tonight?" As Rachel recounted her story once more, her voice steady despite her fear, the desert riders prepared to ride. They checked their bikes, tightened straps, and exchanged glances weighted with unspoken understanding. They were crossing a line tonight, stepping into a world of violence and crime that most of them had left behind years ago. But as Ghost kick-started his Harley-Davidson, feeling the familiar rumble between his legs, he felt a clarity he hadn't experienced in years. Purpose. Direction. A mission that mattered. "Let's ride," he said simply. 4 motorcycles roared to life, their engines echoing across the desert like thunder. Deputy Walsh looked up from his conversation with Rachel, watching as the bikers pulled out of the gas station parking lot and disappeared into the night. "Who were those people?" Walsh asked Rachel. Rachel watched the red taillights fade into darkness, a small smile crossing her tear-stained face for the first time that evening. "My mom's guardian angels," she said softly. "They're going to save her." Frank stayed with Rachel until Walsh finished taking her statement and made arrangements for her to stay with a foster family for the night. As the cruiser pulled away with Rachel in the back seat, her face pressed against the window looking back at him, Frank felt the weight of their promise settle heavily on his shoulders. He pulled out his phone and dialed the clubhouse. It was time to call in every favor, every contact, and every brother they had. Amanda Thompson's life might depend on how much help they could rally in the hours ahead. The desert night stretched vast and dark around him, full of hidden dangers and unknown enemies. But somewhere out there, his brothers were riding into that darkness, carrying hope with them like a torch against the night. The rusty nail sat on the eastern edge of Copper Ridge, like a wound that refused to heal. The bar was a low, sprawling building made of weathered wood and corrugated metal, surrounded by a parking lot full of potholes and broken glass. Neon signs advertised cheap beer in stuttering, half-dead bulbs. The place had a reputation as a haven for dealers, drifters, and anyone looking to disappear into the bottom of a bottle. Ghost pulled his bike into the lot at exactly 9:30 p.m., the others flanking him in formation. They cut their engines simultaneously, letting the silence settle around them before dismounting. The desert air had cooled significantly, dropping from the day's peak of 95 degrees to a comfortable 70. A slight breeze carried the smell of sage and beer. "Remember," Ghost said quietly as they gathered in a tight circle, "we're here for information only. We're not starting a war. We ask questions, we listen, and we leave. Danny, you take the pool tables. Vic, work the bar. Dial, watch the doors and keep an eye on who comes and goes. I'll talk to the bartender directly." "And if someone decides they don't like our questions?" Danny asked, his hand unconsciously checking the knife he kept sheathed on his belt. "Then we leave," Ghost said firmly. "We're no good to Rachel or her mom if we're sitting in jail or bleeding out in a parking lot. Clear?" They all nodded, though Danny's expression suggested he wasn't entirely on board with the non-violence approach. The four of them walked toward the entrance, their boots crunching on gravel. Country music, loud and tinny, spilled out every time the door opened. Inside, the rusty nail was exactly what Ghost had expected. Dim lighting, cigarette smoke despite the no-smoking laws, and the kind of clientele that measured each newcomer as either prey or predator. Conversations stuttered and stopped as the desert riders entered. Heads turned, eyes narrowed. The bar itself ran along the left wall, tended by a heavy-set man in his 50s with a graying beard and suspicious eyes. Pool tables occupied the center of the room, currently hosting a game between three men covered in tattoos. Booths lined the right wall, most occupied by solitary drinkers or couples speaking in hushed tones. Ghost made his way directly to the bar, sliding onto a stool with practiced ease. Victoria took the seat beside him while Danny wandered toward the pool tables, and Kyle positioned himself near the entrance, leaning against the wall like he had all night. "What'll it be?" the bartender asked, his tone making it clear they weren't welcome. "4 beers, whatever's on tap," Ghost said, sliding a 20 across the scarred wooden bar top. "And maybe some information if you're selling." The bartender's eyes flickered with recognition and wariness. "I sell drinks, not information. You want to know something? Ask the internet." Victoria leaned forward, her voice low but clear. "We're looking for a woman. Amanda Thompson, nurse at Mercy General. She was taken from her home about an hour ago by 3 men in a black SUV. One of them had a snake tattoo on his neck. Her 9-year-old daughter is terrified and alone. We just want to help bring her mom home safe." The bartender, whose name tag read Bert, poured 4 beers with deliberate slowness, his face unreadable. "I don't know anything about that." "We're not cops," Ghost said quietly. "We're not looking to bust anyone or cause trouble. We just want to find Amanda before something terrible happens to her. The kid, her name's Rachel. She ran 3 miles barefoot through the desert to find help. That's how desperate she was." "You got kids, Bert?" Something flickered in Bert's eyes. He set the beers down and leaned in slightly. "Even if I did know something, talking gets people killed around here. Mercy General's pharmacy has been dirty for 6 months at least. Everyone knows it, nobody talks about it. The people running that operation, they don't mess around." "Who's running it?" Victoria asked. Bert shook his head. "I've said too much already. Drink your beers and get out. You're bad for business." Ghost was about to press further when a commotion erupted from the pool tables. Danny's voice, raised but controlled, cut through the music. "I said I'm not interested in a game, just enjoying the atmosphere." "Well, the atmosphere would be better if you and your friends left," came another voice, aggressive and slurred with alcohol. Ghost turned to see a man about Danny's size, but softer around the middle, standing too close to Danny with a pool cue in his hands like a weapon. His face was flushed red, and his friends were standing up from their booth, clearly ready to back him up. "We don't want any trouble," Danny said, his hands raised peacefully. But Ghost knew that stance. Danny was balanced on the balls of his feet, ready to move the second things went kinetic. Ghost stood up from the bar, Victoria right beside him. Kyle pushed off from the wall near the door. The entire bar seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see which way the violence would break. "Hey Carver, sit your drunk ass down," Bert called from behind the bar. "They're just passing through." Carver, the aggressive drunk, sneered. Bunch of wannabe tough guys on their little motorcycles. Probably couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag. "You'd be surprised," Danny said quietly, his smile dangerous now. "But you really don't want to find out." Ghost moved smoothly between Danny and Carver, his presence commanding immediate attention. "We're leaving," he announced to the room. "We came for a drink. We got a drink. No problems here." "That's right, run along," Carver mocked, emboldened by his friend's presence. "Take your little biker gang and—" What happened next occurred so fast that most of the bar missed it. Carver made the mistake of reaching out to shove Ghost's shoulder. In one fluid motion, Ghost caught Carver's wrist, twisted it into a lock, and had the bigger man face down on the nearest pool table before Carver could finish his sentence. Ghost's other hand pressed firmly on the back of Carver's neck, not enough to hurt, but enough to control completely. "I said we were leaving," Ghost said calmly, his voice carrying across the now silent bar. "But before we go, let me make something clear. A woman was kidnapped tonight. A mother. Her daughter is crying herself to sleep right now, terrified she'll never see her mom again. If anyone in this room knows anything, if anyone has even a hint of where Amanda Thompson might be, now would be the time to speak up. Because I promise you, the people who took her are going to bring heat down on this whole town. DEA, FBI, state police. Everyone's cozy little criminal ecosystem is about to get torched. Your choice, whether you want to be on the right or wrong side of what's coming." Ghost released Carver, who scrambled away, rubbing his wrist and looking significantly more sober. The desert riders moved toward the door in a tight unit, watching for any ambush from the shadows. They were almost to the exit when a voice called out from one of the back booths. "Wait!" Everyone turned. An older woman, probably in her 60s, with grey hair and a face lined with hard years, stood up from where she'd been sitting alone. She wore a Mercy General employee badge clipped to her purse. "I know Amanda," the woman said, her voice shaky but determined. "She's a good person, a good nurse. She helped my grandson when he overdosed last year. Stayed with him all night, even though her shift had ended. If she's in trouble, I want to help." Ghost walked back toward her, his expression softening. "What's your name, Mom?" "Doris Patterson. I work in billing at Mercy General. I've heard things. seen things. Amanda started asking questions about 3 weeks ago. She noticed that surgical patients were being prescribed way more opioids than necessary. When she brought it up to the pharmacy director, she was told to mind her own business. But Amanda, she's not the type to let things go when patients are at risk. "Who's the pharmacy director?" Victoria asked. "Gerald Hutchins. He's been at Mercy General for 5 years, but about 8 months ago, he started acting different. Nervous, secretive. Then suddenly, he's driving a new BMW and taking expensive vacations. It doesn't take a genius to figure out what's going on." "And the men who took Amanda?" Ghost pressed. Doris hesitated, fear clear in her eyes. "I don't know their names, but I've seen them at the hospital, always meeting with Hutchins in his office after hours. The one with the snake tattoo, he's the worst of them. Mean eyes. He came by the billing office once, asking questions about which nurses worked which shifts. I didn't think anything of it at the time, but now... Do you know where they might have taken her?" "No," Doris said. "But Hutchins has a cabin, about 30 miles north of here, up near Red Rock Canyon. He used to brag about it, how it was his escape from the world. If they needed somewhere private, somewhere no one would hear screaming." The implication hung heavy in the air. Ghost pulled out his phone. "Can you give me the exact location?" Doris provided the details, which Ghost immediately texted to Frank with instructions to pass along to the authorities. Then Ghost turned back to Doris. "Thank you. You may have just saved Amanda's life." "One more thing," Doris added. "Be careful. Hutchins doesn't work alone, and whoever he's partnered with has serious resources. People who've crossed them have a way of disappearing or having tragic accidents. Amanda's not the first person to notice what's going on, but she might be the first brave enough to not back down." The desert riders exited the Rusty Nail quickly, the mood tense and urgent. Once outside in the parking lot, Ghost gathered his crew. "Kyle, ride back to the clubhouse. Tell Frank we have a location. Get him to coordinate with the DEA and local law enforcement. Give them everything Doris told us. Danny and Vic, you're with me. We're heading to that cabin." "Ghost, wait," Victoria said carefully. "If we go charging in there and something goes wrong, we could get Amanda killed. Shouldn't we wait for the professionals?" "By the time they get a team mobilized and up there, it might be too late," Ghost countered. "We're not going in guns blazing. We're doing reconnaissance only. We locate Amanda, confirm she's there and alive, and we relay that information to the authorities. That's it. We're eyes only." "Eyes only," Danny repeated skeptically. "And if they're hurting her while we watch?" Ghost's jaw tightened. It was the question he'd been wrestling with himself. "Then we adapt. But our priority is getting Amanda out alive, not satisfying our need for justice. Rachel needs her mum, not revenge. Everyone clear?" They nodded, though none of them looked entirely convinced that eyes only would be enough. Kyle took off on his bike, heading back toward the clubhouse, while Ghost, Victoria, and Danny studied the map on Ghost's phone, plotting the fastest route to Red Rock Canyon. 30 miles of mountain roads in the dark, Victoria observed. 45 minutes at least, probably an hour. "Then we'd better not waste time," Ghost said, mounting his bike. As they rode north out of Copper Ridge, the landscape changed from flat desert to rolling hills, then to the rocky terrain that gave Red Rock Canyon its name. The moon, nearly full, cast silver light across the twisted formations of rust-colored stone. It was beautiful and haunting, a reminder of how small and insignificant human problems were against the ancient indifference of nature. But for Amanda Thompson, trapped somewhere in that wilderness, nature's indifference could mean death. Ghost throttled up, his bike eating up the miles. Behind him, Victoria and Danny matched his speed, 3 dark shapes racing through the moonlit desert like modern-day cavalry. In the distance, lightning flickered on the horizon. Monsoon season was beginning, and the desert would soon remember what it meant to have water. But tonight, The storms were still far off, leaving only the promise of rain and the certain knowledge that morning would bring either rescue or tragedy. Rachel Thompson's desperate plea echoed in Ghost's mind as he rode. "Please, you have to help me find her." He'd made a promise to a terrified little girl. He intended to keep it, no matter what the cost. The miles fell away beneath their wheels, and with each passing minute, they drew closer to answers, to danger, and to the moment when they would have to choose between caution and action. The road ahead was dark and uncertain, but they rode on anyway because sometimes that's all you can do. Red Rock Canyon spread before them like a wound in the earth, carved over millennia by wind and rare floods. The rock formations, which gave the area its name, glowed eerily in the moonlight, their rust-colored faces striped with darker bands of iron and manganese. Juniper trees clung to impossible slopes, their twisted trunks testament to survival in harsh conditions. Ghost, Victoria, and Danny cut their engines a mile from the coordinates Doris had provided, coasting their bikes off the main road and into a small clearing hidden by massive boulders. The sudden silence was almost oppressive after an hour of riding, broken only by the cooling engines ticking and the distant hoot of an owl. "We walk from here," Ghost said quietly, pulling a small backpack from his saddlebag. Inside were binoculars, a flashlight with a red filter, a first aid kit, and a hunting knife. Not much, but more than nothing. Victoria retrieved her own pack, similarly equipped. Danny checked his knife and pulled out a compact pair of bolt cutters. At Ghost's questioning look, Danny shrugged. "In case there are locks or chains, I'm thinking ahead." They moved through the darkness with practiced stealth, a skill set that came naturally to Ghost and Danny from their military service, and one Victoria had learned through years of hiking in rough country. The terrain was treacherous, loose rock and hidden crevices that could break an ankle in the dark. They moved slowly, carefully, using the moonlight to navigate. After 20 minutes of climbing, Ghost spotted it. A cabin nestled against the canyon wall, partially hidden by rock formations and desert vegetation. Light spilled from 2 windows, and a black SUV was parked beside a smaller sedan in front of the structure. "That's the vehicle," Victoria whispered. "Same model Rachel described." They bellied down behind a ridge about 75 yards from the cabin, Ghost using his binoculars to survey the scene. The cabin was larger than he'd expected, probably 3 rooms at least, well maintained but deliberately isolated. The perfect place for activities you didn't want witnessed. "I count 2 men outside," Ghost murmured. "One smoking by the SUV, one patrolling the perimeter. They're armed, looks like pistols on their hips." "Professional security?" Danny asked. "Or trying to look like it? The one patrolling keeps checking his phone. Sloppy. If I were running this operation, I'd have his ass for breaking concentration like that." Victoria trained her own binoculars on the lit windows. "I can see movement inside, at least 2 more people. Can't tell if one of them is Amanda." As if in answer to her question, a figure passed by one of the windows. A woman, her hands bound in front of her, being led roughly by a tall man. Even from this distance, the fear in her body language was evident. "That's her," Ghost said, his voice tight. "Amanda Thompson. She's alive." "For now," Danny added grimly. "We need to call this in. Let the professionals handle extraction." Ghost pulled out his phone, cursing softly when he saw the signal bars. 1 bar, maybe enough to get a text through, but a call might not connect. He typed quickly, sending their location and situation to Kyle, with instructions to relay everything to the authorities. The message showed as sending, but wouldn't confirm delivery. Ghost tried twice more before giving up. "We might be on our own for a while," he said. "These canyons play hell with cell signals." "So what's the play?" Victoria asked. "We can't just sit here and watch if they decide to hurt her." Before Ghost could answer, the situation changed. The cabin door opened, and the tall man Ghost had seen through the window emerged, dragging Amanda with him. She was struggling, trying to pull away, but he was far stronger. Another man followed, and Ghost's blood ran cold when he saw the snake tattoo on his neck, visible even in the moonlight. "We need to get closer," Ghost said. "I can't hear what they're saying." They crawled forward, using the rocks and sparse vegetation for cover, until they were within 40 yards, close enough to hear voices carrying on the night air. "I told you I don't know anything." Amanda's voice, desperate and scared, but still defiant. "I saw the discrepancies in prescriptions, that's all. I reported it to my supervisor. I didn't go to the police or the DEA, I swear." Snake Tattoo, who appeared to be in charge, circled her slowly. "But you were asking questions, talking to other nurses, making people nervous. That's a problem, Amanda. You see, our operation depends on discretion. When people start asking questions, it threatens everything we've built." "I was trying to protect patients," Amanda shot back. "Do you have any idea how many people die from opioid overdoses? I've held their hands as they stopped breathing. I've told their mothers that their children are dead. What you're doing is killing people." Snake Tattoo backhanded her across the face, the crack of impact echoing across the canyon. Amanda fell hard, catching herself on her bound hands. Danny tensed beside Ghost, his hand moving toward his knife. "Not yet," Ghost whispered, his own rage barely controlled. "We wait for the right moment." Snake Tattoo pulled Amanda to her feet by her hair. "What you don't understand, you self-righteous bitch, is that people are going to get high whether I supply them or someone else does. At least I provide quality product, and I make good money doing it. Your moral outrage is nothing compared to my profit margin." "So you're going to kill me?" Amanda asked, her voice breaking. "I have a daughter. She's 9 years old. Her name is Rachel. If you kill me, she has no one. Please, I'll keep quiet. I'll quit my job. I'll leave town. Just let me go home to my daughter." The mention of Rachel felt like a knife to Ghost's chest. He thought of his own daughter, Claire, safe at her mother's house in Nevada. He thought of Rachel's desperate face as she begged for help. He thought of promises made and the cost of keeping them. Snake Tattoo seemed to consider Amanda's plea. Then he smiled, and it was the cruelest expression Ghost had ever seen. "Here's the thing, Amanda. You're not wrong about my business model, but you are wrong about your value. See, you're actually worth more to me dead than alive. Your overdose, tragic and unexpected, will serve as a warning to anyone else at that hospital who might be thinking of asking questions. And the best part? Everyone will believe it. Single mother, overworked, stressed, turned to pills to cope. Tale as old as time. No one will believe I used," Amanda said, tears streaming down her face. "I've never touched drugs in my life." "Doesn't matter what people believe deep down," Snake Tattoo countered. "Doubt is enough, and dead people can't defend themselves. Gerald's already planting the evidence. Missing inventory from the hospital pharmacy, signed out under your credentials. A few pills in your house, conveniently overlooked until after your death. It'll be a slam dunk for the medical examiner's report." Amanda's legs gave out and she collapsed to her knees, sobbing, "Please, Rachel needs me. She's just a little girl." Ghost had heard enough. He turned to Danny and Victoria, his voice barely a whisper, but carrying absolute authority. "Here's how this goes down. Vic, you work your way to the left, get an angle on the guards by the vehicles. Danny, you take the right, approach from the blind side of the cabin. I'm going straight down the middle. On my signal, we move fast and loud. Our goal is to create confusion, get Amanda and get out. We are not here to fight if we can avoid it. We are not here to be heroes. We're here to save a life and get home. Everyone clear?" "Ghost, there are 5 of them, maybe more inside," Victoria argued. "And they're armed." "Which is why we need surprise and speed," Ghost countered. "They're expecting cops or DEA, professional tactical teams. They're not expecting 3 pissed-off bikers to come out of the dark like ghosts." We have that advantage for exactly one move. After that, all bets are off, so we make that one move count. Danny grinned, that dangerous smile that Ghost recognized from a dozen firefights in Afghanistan. Just like old times, brother. Just like old times, Ghost agreed. Except this time we're fighting for something pure. A kid who needs her mom. That's worth the risk. Vic? Victoria nodded slowly. That little girl ran 3 miles barefoot to find help. Least I can do is run 70 yards to give it to her. Ghost checked his watch. We move in 2 minutes. That gives everyone time to get in position. When I step out of cover, that's the signal. Move fast, move smart, and remember, we're not here to win a war, we're here to win a life. They separated, each moving to their designated position. Ghost watched Danny and Victoria disappear into the darkness, becoming one with the shadows and stone. His own military training kicked in, that familiar state of heightened awareness, where time seemed to slow and every detail became crucial. He thought briefly of Claire, of the last time he'd held her and told her he loved her. He thought of Rachel, waiting somewhere for news of her mother. He thought of Amanda, kneeling in the dirt, believing these were her last moments on Earth. And then Ghost stopped thinking and started moving. He emerged from cover walking, not running. Confidence, not caution. He moved down the slope toward the cabin like a man who belonged there, like he had every right to be present. The guard by the SUV noticed him first, his hand moving toward his weapon. "Who the hell are you?" the guard called out. "I'm the cavalry," Ghost replied, still walking steadily forward. "And you boys are about to have a real bad night." Everything happened at once. The guard fumbled for his gun. Snake Tattoo spun toward Ghost, his eyes wide with surprise. The second guard on patrol came running around the corner of the cabin, weapon drawn. And then Danny and Victoria struck from the sides. Danny hit the patrolling guard like a freight train, tackling him before he could bring his weapon to bear. They went down in a tangle of limbs, fighting for control of the pistol. Victoria, moving with lethal grace, threw a rock the size of a grapefruit at the guard by the SUV, catching him square in the temple. He dropped like a puppet with cut strings. Ghost covered the remaining distance to Amanda in a sprint, putting himself between her and Snake Tattoo. "You're going to want to step back," Ghost said calmly, despite his racing heart. Snake Tattoo pulled a pistol from the small of his back, leveling it at Ghost's chest. "I don't know who you are or how you found us, but you just made the last mistake of your life." "Maybe," Ghost acknowledged. "But here's what's going to happen. My friend already called the cops, DEA, FBI, probably the National Guard for all I know. They're on their way right now. You can shoot me, maybe you even get away. But that woman behind me, she goes home to her daughter tonight. That's not negotiable." Behind Snake Tattoo, the cabin door burst open. 2 more men emerged, both armed. The situation was spiraling from bad to catastrophic. Ghost was acutely aware that he was unarmed except for a knife, facing a man with a gun, with 2 more gunmen appearing and his friends engaged in their own fights. This was the moment where choices became consequences, where intentions met reality. Ghost had made a promise to a 9-year-old girl, and he was a man who kept his promises, no matter the cost. "Last chance," Snake Tattoo said, his finger tightening on the trigger. "Walk away." Ghost smiled, and it wasn't a kind expression. "No, I don't think I will." The gunshot that followed shattered the desert night, echoing off canyon walls and sending birds screaming from their roosts. In the aftermath, as the echo faded and the gun smoke drifted on the night breeze, the fates of everyone present hung in the balance, suspended between life and death, between success and failure, between a little girl reunited with her mother and a promise broken forever. The gunshot came not from Snake Tattoo's weapon, but from the cabin. One of the 2 men who had emerged fired wildly into the darkness, his shot going high and wide as Danny, having subdued his opponent, threw a rock that caught the shooter in the shoulder. The distraction was all Ghost needed. He moved with the speed and precision of his military training, closing the distance to Snake Tattoo before the man could adjust his aim. Ghost's hand shot out, deflecting the pistol to the side, just as Snake Tattoo pulled the trigger. The muzzle flash lit up the night, the bullet whizzing past Ghost's ear, close enough that he felt the heat and heard the supersonic crack. Ghost drove his shoulder into Snake Tattoo's midsection, both men going down hard onto the rocky ground. The pistol clattered away into the darkness. They grappled, each fighting for dominance, fists and elbows flying in the desperate struggle. Victoria had reached Amanda, cutting her bonds with a folding knife. "Come on, we need to move," she shouted over the chaos. Amanda, freed but disoriented, stumbled as Victoria pulled her toward cover. The second gunman from the cabin was trying to get a clear shot, but Danny was on him, having crossed the distance with remarkable speed for a man his size. They collided, and the gun went flying, leaving them to settle things with fists and fury. Ghost and Snake Tattoo rolled across the ground, each trying to gain advantage. Snake Tattoo was younger, maybe 35, with the lean muscle of someone who stayed in fighting shape. But Ghost had something Snake Tattoo didn't, a reason beyond money or pride. He fought for Rachel, for Amanda, for the promise he'd made. Ghost managed to get on top, raining down punches, but Snake Tattoo bucked and twisted, throwing Ghost off. Both men scrambled to their feet, circling each other warily. Blood streamed from Snake Tattoo's nose, and Ghost felt his own lip split, copper taste in his mouth. "You're dead," Snake Tattoo panted. "You and your friends. I've got people, resources. I'll find out who you are, where you live. I'll find everyone you love and make you watch them die." "Big talk from a man who beats up nurses," Ghost shot back. "All I see is a coward who hurts people weaker than him because it makes him feel powerful." Snake Tattoo lunged, throwing a combination of punches that Ghost barely blocked. A fist got through, catching Ghost in the ribs with enough force to crack bone. Ghost gasped, pain exploding through his torso, but he stayed on his feet. He countered with a savage elbow to Snake Tattoo's jaw, followed by a knee to the midsection. Nearby, Danny had taken down his opponent with a brutal efficiency that spoke to years of training. The man lay groaning in the dirt, his nose clearly broken, his will to fight extinguished. Danny looked around for Victoria and Amanda, spotting them behind a boulder 40 yards away. "Vic, get her out of here!" Danny yelled. "Get back to the bikes and ride for help!" "Not without you!" Victoria shouted back. "We'll be right behind you, move!" Victoria hesitated only a second before nodding. She and Amanda began working their way back through the rocks, moving as quickly as the treacherous terrain and Amanda's exhausted state would allow. The last gunman, the one who'd fired the first shot, had recovered from Danny's rock throw. He spotted Victoria and Amanda retreating and raised his weapon, taking aim at their backs. "No!" Ghost roared. He broke away from Snake Tattoo, sprinting toward the gunman with no thought for his own safety. He covered 20 feet in seconds, launching himself in a flying tackle just as the man fired. The bullet struck stone inches from Amanda's head, ricocheting off with a whine. Ghost and the gunman crashed to the ground in a heap. They fought savagely, the gun trapped between them, each man trying to control its direction. Danny was running toward them, but Snake Tattoo intercepted him, tackling Danny from the side. They went down hard, Snake Tattoo landing on top and immediately going for Danny's throat with both hands. Danny's vision began to dim as Snake Tattoo choked him, thumbs pressed into his windpipe with vicious intent. Danny's hands scrabbled for purchase, for anything to use as a weapon. His fingers closed around a rock, and with the last of his strength, he swung it into the side of Snake Tattoo's head. The grip on his throat loosened. Danny hit him again, harder. Snake Tattoo toppled sideways, dazed but still conscious. Danny rolled away, gasping for air, his throat already swelling and bruising. Ghost was still fighting for control of the gun. The shooter was strong, younger than Ghost, with fresh energy. Ghost was tired, hurt, running on adrenaline and willpower. The gun barrel turned slowly, inexorably, toward Ghost's face. "You should have minded your own business," the gunman snarled. Ghost's response was to headbutt him, a devastating strike that shattered the man's nose and left him stunned. Ghost ripped the gun away, rolled clear, and came up with the weapon pointed at the gunman. "Don't move," Ghost ordered, his voice ragged. "I really don't want to shoot you, but I absolutely will if you make me." The gunman, blood streaming from his shattered nose, put his hands up slowly. Danny had gotten to his feet, standing over Snake Tattoo, who was trying to rise. Danny kicked him hard in the ribs, putting him back down. "Stay down," Danny rasped, his voice barely working. "I'm not asking again." Ghost looked around, taking stock. 4 hostiles down, 1 guard still unconscious where Victoria had dropped him. The situation was under control, barely. And then it wasn't. The cabin door opened one more time, and Gerald Hutchins emerged. The pharmacy director was in his 50s, balding, wearing glasses and a cardigan sweater. He looked like someone's accountant or a community college professor. He did not look dangerous until Ghost saw the shotgun in his hands. "Nobody moves," Hutchins said, his voice shaking but his hands steady on the weapon. "I didn't spend 5 years building this operation just to have it destroyed by some motorcycle gang and a nosy nurse." Ghost still held the pistol he'd taken, but it was pointed at the gunman on the ground, not at Hutchins. To swing it around would take a second, maybe less, but a shotgun at this range didn't require precision. Hutchins could cut Ghost in half before Ghost could aim. "This is over, Gerald," Ghost said carefully. "Authorities are already on their way. You can't win this, but you can still walk away with your life. Put down the shotgun." "My life is over either way," Hutchins replied, and Ghost heard the desperation in his voice. "I'm looking at 20 years minimum in federal prison. I'm 60 years old. I'll die in a cage. That's not acceptable." "Better than dying tonight," Danny said, though his ruined voice made the words come out as a rough whisper. "Is it?" Hutchins laughed bitterly. "I worked in hospital pharmacies for 35 years, saved money, did everything right, and then my wife got sick. Cancer. The treatments weren't covered by insurance. I lost everything, our house, our savings, our retirement. She died anyway, and I was left with nothing but debt and bitterness. When the cartel approached me about using Mercy General to move product, I said yes. Not because I'm evil, but because I was tired of being poor, tired of being powerless. For once in my life, I had money and respect. You sold poison to addicts, Ghost said. People died." "People were always going to die," Hutchins shot back. "I just made my mortgage payment in the process. And now you self-righteous bastards want to take it all away." Ghost saw it in Hutchins's eyes before the man moved. The resignation, the decision made. Hutchins was going to shoot, consequences be damned. He was going to take Ghost with him into the darkness. Time seemed to slow. Ghost began to move, knowing he was too slow, that the shotgun would roar and his story would end here in a canyon under the moonlight. He thought of Claire, hoped she'd remember him as a good father. He thought of Rachel, hoped someone else would make good on his promise. The gunshot that echoed through the canyon came from an unexpected direction. Hutchins jerked, the shotgun discharging into the ground as his finger spasmed on the trigger. He fell backward, dropping the weapon, his hands going to his shoulder where blood spread across his cardigan. Ghost spun to see Deputy Andrew Walsh emerging from the rocks, his service weapon still raised. Behind him, 2 more sheriff's cruisers were pulling up, lights flashing. State police vehicles followed, and in the distance, Ghost could hear the distinctive sound of helicopter rotors. "Drop the weapon," Walsh commanded, though he was looking at Ghost, not the downed criminals. Ghost carefully set the pistol on the ground and raised his hands. Danny did the same, stepping away from Snake Tattoo. Within seconds, they were surrounded by law enforcement, being ordered to the ground, hands behind their backs. "We're the good guys," Danny tried to shout, but his damaged throat made it come out as a painful croak. "Everyone's a good guy until we sort out what happened here," Walsh said, but his tone wasn't hostile. "Where's Amanda Thompson?" "My partner's got her clear, back toward where we parked our bikes," Ghost said from his position face down in the dirt. "She's hurt but alive. She needs medical attention." Walsh spoke into his radio, dispatching units to locate and assist Amanda and Victoria. Then he knelt beside Ghost. "The little girl, Rachel, she told us you'd gone to find her mum. Said you promised to bring her back. That true?" "Yes, sir," Ghost replied. Walsh studied him for a long moment, then made a decision. "Get him up," he told the other deputies. "These three aren't under arrest. They're witnesses. Treat them accordingly." Ghost, Danny and Kyle were helped to their feet, though they remained under close watch. Paramedics arrived, attending to the injured criminals first, then examining Danny's throat and Ghost's ribs. 2 ribs cracked, the paramedic announced, wrapping Ghost's torso tightly. More vehicles arrived as word spread. DEA agents in tactical gear swept the cabin, emerging with evidence bags full of pills, records, and cash. State police took custody of Snake Tattoo, whose real name was Derek Vaughn, a known associate of a Mexican cartel operating in southern Arizona. Hutchins was loaded into an ambulance, his shoulder wound serious, but not life-threatening. He'd survived to face federal charges. Victoria and Amanda were located 20 minutes later, both exhausted but unharmed. Amanda was wrapped in a blanket, checked by paramedics, and then finally allowed to make the phone call she'd been desperate for since her ordeal began. Ghost watched as Amanda sobbed into the phone, telling Rachel she was safe, that she was coming home, that everything would be okay. It was the sound of a promise kept, of a family that would remain whole. Ghost felt something loosen in his chest, something that had been tight and painful since Rachel first grabbed his boots in that gas station parking lot. "You did good tonight," Walsh said, approaching Ghost. "Stupid, reckless, could have gotten everyone killed, but good. Just kept a promise to a scared kid," Ghost replied. "Yeah, well, that scared kid is about to be very happy. Rachel's been asking about you every 10 minutes since I dropped her off. Wanted to know if Ghost was okay, if he was keeping his promise. You made an impression." Ghost smiled despite the pain in his ribs. "She made an impression on me, too." The desert night gradually filled with the organized chaos of a major crime scene. Investigators photographed everything, collected evidence, interviewed witnesses. Ghost, Danny, and Victoria gave their statements multiple times to multiple agencies. By the time the sun began to rise over Red Rock Canyon, painting the stone formations in shades of gold and crimson, the full scope of the operation was becoming clear. Gerald Hutchins had been diverting opioids from Mercy General for 8 months, working with Derek Vaughn's cartel to distribute them across 3 states. The operation had generated millions in profit and contributed to dozens of overdose deaths. Amanda Thompson had been the first hospital employee brave enough to push back, and it had nearly cost her everything. But tonight, justice had won. Barely, desperately, at great risk. But it had won. As Ghost, Danny, and Victoria were finally cleared to leave, Amanda approached them. Her face was bruised where Vaughn had struck her, and she looked exhausted beyond measure. But her eyes were clear and full of gratitude. "I don't know how to thank you," she said simply. "You saved my life. You brought me back to my daughter. There aren't words for that." "No thanks needed," Ghost said. "Just promise me you'll hug Rachel extra tight and remember that there are still good people in the world." "I promise," Amanda said, tears streaming down her face. "Will you come see her? She's been so worried about you. She needs to see that you're okay." Ghost hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, we'll come by. Rachel deserves to know how this ended." 3 days later, Ghost, Danny, Victoria, Frank and Kyle rode their motorcycles up the driveway of a modest house on the outskirts of Copper Ridge. The house had been thoroughly cleaned by a crime scene unit, all evidence of the kidnapping removed. Fresh flowers filled vases in every room, gifts from neighbors and well-wishers who had heard Amanda's story. Before the bikes even came to a complete stop, the front door burst open and Rachel came running out. She wore a yellow sundress, her hair in pigtails, and her face was lit up with a smile so bright it could have powered the entire town. "Ghost! Danny! Victoria!" she shouted, practically bouncing with excitement. "You came! You really came!" Ghost dismounted carefully, his ribs still healing, and knelt down as Rachel launched herself at him. He caught her in a gentle hug, mindful of his injuries, but unwilling to let that stop him from embracing the little girl who had started this whole adventure. "Hi, kid," Ghost said softly. "How you holding up?" "I'm good," Rachel said, pulling back to look at him with serious eyes. "Mom says I was really brave. She says I saved her life by finding you. Is that true?" "Absolutely true," Ghost confirmed. "You ran 3 miles through the desert to find help. That's about the bravest thing I've ever heard of. Your mom should be really proud of you." "She is," Rachel said, beaming. "But she also grounded me for 2 weeks for running off without telling anyone where I was going. She says even when you're being brave, you still have to be smart about it." Ghost laughed, then winced at the pain in his ribs. "Your mom is a wise woman. You should listen to her." Amanda emerged from the house, moving slowly but under her own power. The bruises on her face had faded to yellow and green, and there was a strength in her bearing that spoke to her resilience. She'd been through hell and come out the other side, not unscathed, but unbroken. "Thank you for coming," Amanda said, greeting each of the desert riders with handshakes, and in Victoria's case, a warm hug. "Please, come inside. I made lunch. It's the least I can do." The interior of the house was small but immaculate, filled with photos of Rachel at various ages and artwork that clearly came from a child's creative imagination. The living room had a worn but comfortable couch, a bookshelf overflowing with medical textbooks and children's books, and a small TV. It was the home of a single mother doing her best with limited resources, and it radiated love in every corner. Over sandwiches and iced tea, they talked. Rachel wanted to hear every detail of the rescue, interrupting constantly with questions. How fast were the motorcycles? Was Danny really strong enough to fight 2 men at once? Did Victoria know how to shoot a gun? Was Ghost scared? "Yeah, I was scared," Ghost admitted to that last question. "But being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you do what's right even when you are scared." "Like Mom," Rachel said proudly. "She was scared, but she still tried to protect me." "Exactly like your mom," Ghost agreed. Amanda shared her own perspective, explaining how terrified she'd been for Rachel's safety, how she'd tried to convince her captors that Rachel wasn't a threat. She talked about the moment she'd heard the commotion outside the cabin and realized someone had come for her, the disbelief and hope that had warred in her heart. "I thought I was going to die that night," Amanda said quietly, glancing at Rachel to make sure the girl was okay with this level of honesty. Rachel nodded, encouraging her mother to continue. "I thought Rachel would grow up without me, and that broke my heart more than anything they could have done to me physically. But then you appeared, like something out of a movie, and you fought for me. You didn't know me. You had no obligation to risk your lives. But you did it anyway, because a little girl asked for help. That's what people are supposed to do," Victoria said. "Help each other. Somewhere along the way we forgot that. We got so caught up in our own lives, our own problems, that we stopped seeing each other's humanity. You reminded us what matters." Frank, who had been quiet during most of the lunch, spoke up. "I've been riding with these folks for a long time. We're not saints. We've made mistakes, done things we're not proud of. But that night, watching you all ride off to help someone you'd never met, I remembered why I joined this club in the first place. It's not about the bikes or the leather or looking tough. It's about brotherhood. It's about standing up when someone needs you to stand. Kyle, the youngest of the group, added his own thoughts. I almost didn't join the ride to the Rusty Nail. I was scared, thought I wasn't ready for something that serious. But Ghost told me that you don't get ready for moments like that. The moment arrives and you either step up or you don't. I'm glad I stepped up. I'm glad we all did. Danny, his voice still rough and damaged from being choked but slowly healing, simply raised his glass of tea. To promises kept, he said. To promises kept, they all echoed, clinking glasses. After lunch, Rachel took them on a tour of the house, proudly showing off her room with its posters of dancers and her collection of stuffed animals. She demonstrated the dance moves she'd been learning in her classes, pirouetting across the living room floor with the grace and enthusiasm unique to 9-year-olds pursuing their passions. Mum says we might have to stop dance classes for a while because of money, Rachel confided to Victoria when they had a quiet moment. She says the hospital put her on leave while they investigate everything, and money's tight, but she promises we'll start again as soon as we can. Victoria exchanged a look with Ghost, who nodded slightly. You know what, Rachel? I think the Desert Riders MC might want to sponsor a young dancer. We take donations sometimes for good causes. Making sure a brave girl gets to keep dancing, that sounds like a good cause to me. Rachel's eyes went wide. Really? You'd do that? Really, Victoria confirmed, but it comes with conditions. You have to promise to work hard, to appreciate what your mom does for you, and to always remember that when someone needs help, you step up, just like you did that night. Deal? Deal! Rachel exclaimed, throwing her arms around Victoria's waist. As the afternoon wore on, the conversation turned to the aftermath of that night. Deputy Walsh had stopped by earlier in the week to update Amanda on the investigation. Derek Vaughan and his associates were facing federal charges for drug trafficking, kidnapping, assault, and a litany of other crimes. Gerald Hutchins had agreed to cooperate with prosecutors in exchange for a reduced sentence, providing testimony that would likely bring down a significant portion of the cartel's Arizona operation. The Mercy General Hospital Board had launched their own investigation, firing 3 administrators who had been aware of the pharmacy irregularities but failed to act. Amanda had been offered her job back with a formal apology and a promotion to head nurse of her department. The hospital was also providing counseling services for her and Rachel to deal with the trauma of their experience. Things are getting better, Amanda said. Slowly, but they're getting better. Rachel has nightmares sometimes, so do I, but we talk about them, we support each other, and we remember that we survived. We're still here, still together. That's what matters. What about you guys? Rachel asked the bikers. Did you get in trouble for helping us? Ghost shook his head. No trouble. The authorities were pretty clear that we were acting in defense of an innocent person. We gave our statements, cooperated fully, and they let it go. Though Deputy Walsh did suggest strongly that next time we should call the police first and play hero second. Will there be a next time? Rachel asked. Will you help other people if they need it? The 5 desert riders looked at each other, a silent conversation passing between them. They'd started as just a group of friends who liked motorcycles, but that night in the canyon had changed something fundamental. They'd discovered a purpose beyond themselves, a reason to ride that meant more than just enjoying the open road. Yeah, Ghost said finally. Yeah, I think we will. There are a lot of people out there who need help and don't know where to turn. If we can be that help, even just sometimes, then maybe that's what we're supposed to be doing. The Desert Riders MC, Danny said, his voice gaining strength. We ride for those who can't ride for themselves. I like that, Rachel said. It's like you're superheroes, but with motorcycles instead of capes. Something like that, Victoria said with a smile, though significantly less dramatic and with way more risk of getting arrested. As the sun began its descent toward the horizon, casting long shadows across the desert landscape, the desert riders prepared to leave. They'd stayed longer than planned, drawn into the warmth and gratitude of the Thompson household. But the road was calling, and they had miles to cover before dark. Rachel walked them to their bikes, Amanda beside her with a hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Will we see you again?" Rachel asked. "Count on it," Ghost said. "We're going to check in on you regularly, make sure you're doing okay. Plus, someone has to make sure you're keeping up with those dance classes we're sponsoring." "I will! I promise," Rachel said enthusiastically. Ghost knelt down one more time, looking Rachel in the eyes. "You know what you did took real courage, right? You saved your mom's life. You should be proud of that. But I also want you to promise me something." "What?" Rachel asked. "Promise me you'll let yourself be a kid sometimes. Don't grow up too fast because of what happened. Keep dancing, keep playing, keep being 9 years old. Your mom needs you to be strong, but she also needs you to be happy. Can you do that?" Rachel thought about it seriously, then nodded. "I can do that, but only if you promise something too." "What's that?" "Promise you'll keep being brave, keep helping people, because the world needs more people like you." Ghost felt something catch in his throat. He extended his hand formally, and Rachel shook it with equal gravity. "Deal," he said. "You stay a kid, I'll keep being brave. That's a fair trade." Amanda stepped forward, embracing each of the bikers in turn. "There's no way to truly thank you," she said. "You gave me back my life, my daughter, my future. If you ever need anything at all, you call me. I don't care what it is or when. I will be there." "Just knowing you and Rachel are safe and happy is thanks enough," Ghost replied. "But we'll keep in touch. You're part of the Desert Riders family now, whether you ride or not." The 5 motorcycles roared to life, their engines echoing across the desert. Ghost took the lead, Danny and Victoria flanking him, with Frank and Kyle bringing up the rear. As they pulled out of the driveway, Ghost looked in his mirror and saw Rachel waving frantically, Amanda standing tall beside her, both of them silhouetted against the setting sun. He'd made a promise 3 days ago to a desperate little girl in a gas station parking lot. He'd kept that promise, though it had cost him cracked ribs, sleepless nights, and more fear than he'd felt since his combat days. But looking at Rachel and Amanda in that mirror, safe and whole and together, Ghost knew without question that it had been worth every bit of pain and risk. The desert stretched before them, vast and ancient, beautiful and harsh. The road unwound like a ribbon of possibility, leading towards sunset and home. The desert riders rode in formation, brothers and sister bound by something stronger than club rules or matching patches. They were bound by shared purpose, by the knowledge that they had looked into darkness and chosen to bring light. "Where to?" Danny asked over the intercom, linking their helmets. Ghost thought about it, considering their options. They could head back to the clubhouse, back to their normal lives, or they could keep riding, keep exploring, keep themselves open to wherever the road and fate might lead. "West," Ghost decided. "Let's ride toward the sunset for a while. See where it takes us." "Always toward the sunset," Victoria agreed. "That's where the best stories happen." They throttled up, the bikes leaping forward with eager power. The wind rushed past, carrying the scent of sage and possibility. Behind them, the town of Copper Ridge slowly disappeared from view. Ahead lay open road, open sky, and the promise of more tomorrows. Rachel Thompson had run 3 miles barefoot through the desert to find help, and in doing so, she'd changed 5 lives forever. She'd reminded them that heroism wasn't about seeking glory or recognition. It was about showing up when someone needed you, even when it was hard, even when it was dangerous, even when you were scared. As the desert riders disappeared into the golden light of the setting sun, Rachel stood in her driveway, still waving, still smiling. Her mother wrapped an arm around her shoulders, and together they watched until the last echo of motorcycle engines faded into the desert silence. "They'll come back, won't they?" Rachel asked. "Yes," Amanda said with certainty. "They'll come back, that's what family does." And somewhere on a desert highway, racing toward sunset and home, Ghost smiled beneath his helmet, because he knew Amanda was right. They would come back. They'd check on Rachel and Amanda, make sure the sponsorship for dance classes was set up properly, be there for birthdays and graduations and all the mundane, beautiful moments that make up a life. They'd made a promise, and the Desert Riders MC had learned something important. Some promises you keep once, but the best promises you keep forever. The road stretched ahead, endless and inviting. And the Desert Riders, who had started this journey as 5 people looking for adventure, rode forward as a family, united by the memory of a little girl's desperate cry and the choice they'd made to answer it. Behind them, the desert gathered its twilight close, preparing for night. But in the Thompson household, lights blazed warm and welcoming. A mother and daughter sat down to dinner, saying grace with special thanks for the strangers who had become angels, for the bikers who had become family, for the promise kept and the future returned. And in that moment, in that small house on the edge of a small town in the vast Arizona desert, all was exactly as it should be.